Do you know how to breathe for public speaking? Most people don't, and it's completely understandable because most people haven't learned techniques. Now, when I say the word technique, it can conjure up a very complex idea, like you have to study for months to learn how to do this very special thing. Well, the good news is appropriate breathing for speech is something we do as children. We innately know how to do it, but we lose it along the way when we're socialized. So in fact, you can learn to change your negative habits around public speaking immediately. There are no bad voices, there are only bad habits. So this is something that is actually within our control. Diaphragmatic breathing. When we breathe in deeply, and we're really breathing from the lower part of our lungs, which means there has to be motion here, the pelvic floor is relaxed, and when we breathe in, which is a little bit counterintuitive, the diaphragm actually drops down, and you can feel it pressing slightly on the pelvic floor. Now please note, men and women both have a pelvic floor. Everybody does, we all have a pelvis, okay. So as I breathe in like I did then, there's a lot of space here, my tummy goes out here, my ribs expand here, my chest isn't doing very much, I've got a quiet chest. If you have a child at home, notice how they're breathing, particularly if they're lying on their stomach and they're sleeping. You'll see all of this rib movement. Well, we can do that as well. Now, what happens most of the time? Most of the time, people are having a lot of shallow breathing where the chest is involved, the diaphragm isn't dropping fully, there's not much action around here, the tummy's held in, which absolutely we want to do for certain practices. We want to bring the core in to support weightlifting, exercise, walking, all kinds of things. But there's a sweet spot in the middle where we have tone, but we can really release that belly out just for the breathing, for speaking, okay? When people have an awful lot of chest movement and not much else happening, it's usually a sign that they're very tight in the core. Look what happens if I really tense my core. If I really tighten in here, when I breathe, you're going to see a lot more chest motion up and down. Now, the other thing that can happen is people can get the rib motion and still have a secondary chest action be quite apparent. And that can sometimes be because there's a lot of tightness across the mid-back. So even though they're doing this quite well, this responds because of the tightness here in the muscles that are attached, and that can just be released over time by really working on the muscles around the spine. Being in the body is a whole life process of caretaking. This is what I've learned. And so everything that happens in the body is connected to everything else that happens in the body. We can look at these things in isolation, but in fact, we are holistic beings. So that is also true for breathing, for speaking. We can feel stress, breathe shallowly, be holding our tummies in, and then we just don't have a lot of air. You may be well asking, SJ, what do I do about that? How can I possibly breathe in a relaxed manner, keeping all of this relaxed when I'm so tense about speaking? Well, here's a special secret about embodied performance work. When you work with your body in a systematic and released way, and you learn to release your voice and support the voice with the breath, it actually has a psychophysical impact on how you feel. The breathing itself is calming, you intellectually know what to do and you've practiced it, and you start to discover much more ease in your speaking. So rather than solely addressing our public speaking anxiety with our minds and psychology, the other piece is learn those techniques because they actually help to make you feel more present and more empowered. When we use our body in a fully engaged way, we feel more confident. And this has to be tried out to really be believed. Do book a free consult with me if you've been struggling with public speaking. My clients have tremendous transformation, and it is an incredible joy to watch. And so I can say to you with 100% confidence that you can change this. I think it's very sad to come to the very end of your career and feel like You missed opportunities because you just didn't address this particular phobia or fear or challenge, however it shows up for you. Here's to unlocking your performance power, and do check out part 1 of How to Breathe for Speaking.